All right, so let's get back to the top 50. These are now the 50 biggest movies of the year, so settle in for this. All right, so we're up now within the 50s here. $56 million for number 50, and that was Midway, the third and final Dennis Quaid movie, unless he was in something else I forgot about.
Please,
but another horrible one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, and I mean, nothing really worked that much about this. The accents were horrible. I don't know what Nick Jonas was trying to do, but it wasn't an accent.
Yeah, no.
The CGI is, like, atrociously bad.
Yeah.
I understand that it's very, very historically inaccurate. Anytime Woody Harrelson wasn't on screen was a snooze.
Yeah.
It was a D+ for me.
Yeah. No, I don't have much more to add. The CGI looks like it's from a bad PS2 game.
Horrible.
It's bad when your source material in terms of the original Midway movie was not that great to begin with. I will give them points for taking out the worst thing about that.
I thought people liked the Midway movie, but I don't know much about it.
Mostly because really big cast.
Okay.
It was...
Well, this is a big cast, too.
Yeah, it was an event movie, basically.
Yeah, okay.
But this just is not good. Like, it's so much worse on every level. It's boring. Okay. It's not pretty to look at. Some of the action sequences are okay, but the CGI is very, very bad. And super, super forced Chinese subplot because Chinese investor.
Well, you had to do it because it's Midway.
Yes.
All right. What's your grade?
Overall, it's a D.
Okay. Escape Room is next. This is another one of the long line of horror movies. I thought this was okay. But as an Escape Room fan myself, I thought they could have done so much more with it.
Yeah.
It ends up being rather generic.
Yeah.
Sort of, the classic, like, one by one they die when they don't escape the room and stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted more. It's a C for me.
This might be the best bad movie of 2019. Like, how good can a movie called Escape Room be? Let's be realistic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would rather be in an escape room and do it. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like, half of the time I was watching this, I was just thinking the entire time, I'd rather be in that escape room playing this.
Yeah.
But it's dumb. It's really dumb. But at least for, like, the first 2/3, it's goofy enough to be enjoyable, and then it tries to throw in
so off the rails.
It throws in a weird, beyond bizarre conspiracy plot that makes no sense
from
whatsoever.
Out of nowhere.
Pretty much from out of nowhere. And it tries to sequel bait. It's bad, but I could see this movie having a lot of so bad it's good value. It's a D+ for me.
Okay. Dora and the Lost City of Gold is next. $60 million take at the box office. I really enjoyed this. I am too old to have grown up with Dora. So, I mean, I know the basics. I know Go Diego Go and all this, and Backpack Song and all of that. We did it, hooray. But boy, they took the basic conceit of Dora and really went the distance with it.
Yeah.
Eva Longoria is great. What's the guy's name? Eugene? He was the guy
Eugenio
from Overboard. Derbez, yeah. The guy from Overboard remake. He added a lot of fun to it. This was a fun family movie, the opposite of the John Cena movie. This is fun. I gave it a B+.
So it's funny.
It was cute.
I saw this on the same day as Frozen 2, and I asked my family after I got done, which one do you think I gave the more positive grade to? It goes to Dora.
I gave Dora's higher for me than Frozen 2.
And I think it's largely because this movie is kind of in on the joke.
Yes.
And I think it's also because its lead actress just completely is willing to be as ridiculous as this movie needs her to be.
Yes.
I think this is one of those things that, like, you're only going to catch this level of effective campiness once.
Yeah, I agree.
But goodness knows it works. And
Well, I think they were smart to sort of capitalize on, okay, the people that are going to be seeing this grew up with Dora and are now either like teenagers, so they'll want to have fun with it, or adults with very small children that will go as families. And I think they got both markets perfectly.
Yes. Because it functions as a Dora story, but it also functions as kind of a little bit of meta humor as well. And another
Brady Bunch movie.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. But honestly, very respectable for me.
Yeah. Abominable is next. This is the worst of the two Bigfoot movies for me. I thought Smallfoot was a lot cuter, made more sense. better script,
Yeah.
probably better voice work. I left this with a C.
I don't have much more to add. It just is so painfully by the numbers, and it's a shame because the animation is gorgeous at times.
Yeah, it's the same people that did the Dragon.
Yeah,
How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah,
like you guys have potential. Why are you just settling for these like really standard kid fare? Because it doesn't have to be that way. How to Train Your Dragon 100% proved that.
Yeah, broke the mold for sure.
Absolutely, and it just feels super by the numbers. It feels super on the nose. Every character arc plays out exactly the way you expect it to. It's nothing original. It's nothing special. It's a C.
Yeah. And we should shout out Laika quick because it didn't make the top 100. But Missing Link was sort of a Bigfoot story. Well, Missing Link story, but same sort of conceit.
Same concept.
Much better done as well.
Yes.
All right, so 46, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Hanks is Mr. Rogers, of course. We know this. I don't really like the marketing of the movie. But I can't fault the movie for that. We've gone over this a million times.
Yep.
Marketing department is different.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people went into this thinking it was going to be a biopic version of the Won't You Be My Neighbor documentary, and it is not.
Nope.
Tom Hanks is a supporting actor in this movie. But I did enjoy it. But it's, as it's rated PG, it's like people are taking their little kids to it, and I'm like, they're going to be so bored with this, you guys.
Yeah.
But I gave it a B+. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think the marketing really, I think, hurt this movie.
Yeah, the marketing definitely hurt it. I knew enough early on that it was.
Yeah, I knew about it, but it was clearly marketed way off the mark.
If you were going completely off of trailers,
Right.
I would not fault you for thinking this was the Mr. Rogers biopic.
Right.
My problem with this movie is less that it's a Mr. Rogers biopic, and that the story that it's actually telling is so cliche.
It's not that
and
interesting.
Frankly, not that interesting.
Yeah.
Like, every scene where it's the reporter and Mr. Rogers, Tom Hanks has his co-star for breakfast.
Yeah, what is it, Matthew Reese or something? What's his name?
I think so, yeah.
He's no Hanks.
Yeah, no, he gets completely upstaged by him. And,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the supporting actor nomination is warranted. But
at the same time, though, I think anybody in a room with the real Mr. Rogers would also be minuscule by comparison.
Oh, yeah.
So, it maybe is an apt metaphor for the real world. I don't know.
Could be. It's hard to say. There's a lot of things about this movie that I felt could have been more effective, and there's some things that I really did admire about this. Like, within the first 10 minutes, I was wondering, could this be an upper tier movie for 2019? And I liked it, but I felt like the more it went along, it needed to be darker than it was, and other times it needed to be lighter than it was. It felt like something that didn't quite know what it was trying to accomplish.
Okay.
Not bad, not great either, but respectable. B-.
All right, up next is Terminator Dark Fate. I actually really enjoyed this movie. This was one of the surprises of the year for me, because especially it was I don't know, I think I watched it the same week I watched Angel Has Fallen or something. It was some other dumb action movie I saw that week, and I was like, well, I got to get through the top 100. I didn't want to save all the ones I didn't want to watch for the end, so I popped this in, sort of in the mix, and I ended up really liking it. I've only seen a couple of the Terminator movies. I've seen the second one.
Yep.
I think I finally did see the first one with you and Joe.
Yep.
And then I saw T2, and then there was a couple in the middle there I missed, and then I saw the one they did 2 years ago that was god awful. And then I've seen this one, and I thought it was rather enjoyable. I thought the action sequences worked. My biggest problem with it was there wasn't enough Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Again, marketing. You expected them to be the stars of the movie, and they're absolutely not.
No, they're side characters.
They're side characters for sure, but I was still compelled enough by the main story. I thought they were engaging characters. I felt for their plight, and I wanted to see them win out over the Terminator. So I don't know. What do you think? Because this seems to be a divisive movie.
Yeah, and honestly, after watching it, I'm still kind of debating it.
Okay.
Because in ways, this movie made me kind of miss Terminator Genesis, which I understand that
Genesis, wow.
to people that saw that, I'm committing sacrilege.
Yeah.
But Genesis at least tried to kind of make everyone happy, but didn't really succeed. Dark Fate doesn't care. Where I'm going with that is it does a giant retcon less than 5 minutes into the movie. If you don't know about it, just Google it. You'll know immediately. But it decides, okay, everything else doesn't matter, and like everything that was the point up to this point was irrelevant, and then tries to throw in a new thing that isn't bad, but also doesn't stand enough on its own. There's some really cool action sequences. I like that Linda Hamilton's back. I actually really enjoyed the new angle they took for how to get an aged Arnold Schwarzenegger in there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Much more than how they played it off in Genesis. But I also don't think they go far enough with it. It's kind of there and then it's gone. Do I think that there's still a way to save the Terminator franchise? Yes. Do I think it absolutely needs somebody to sort of like really hammer out a good, solid, coherent script? Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a C- for me.
All right. Spies in Disguise is next. This one actually surprised me because it got a lot of good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't really understand why. I didn't really like it, and I like kids movies, but I took my nephew to this opening weekend, I think, and I was like, am I missing it? Or because he didn't seem to enjoy it all that much either. But so I went home and like looked at Rotten Tomatoes, and it was like a 73% or whatever it was. And I was like,
wow. Okay,
didn't see that coming. I don't know. I didn't think it was funny. Now looking back, I don't know. I thought maybe it was good, and I just like some of the sequences were okay. I liked the concept. Yeah. And Will Smith was good. Tom Holland was okay. I don't know. I was not feeling this movie for some reason. I didn't think it was that funny, for one thing. And then I'm not sure it completely made sense, even in the context of its own story. Yeah. Or of its own world. Did you end up seeing this?
I did. Okay. I did hit this one.
Did you like it?
It was not easy to pull off, but
okay.
Honestly, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I went into this expecting cute humor of the movie, and to varying degrees, I got that. But the one thing
I like cute humor, but it has to be funny.
The one thing I liked about it was they at least made the cute humor integral to the storyline.
Yeah.
I like the general idea of a lot of things it was trying to accomplish, like what is the point of this ridiculous over-the-top violence over and over and over again? I feel like if they had committed to that near the end, it would have been really, really cool. But instead, it's like, no, we're just going to do flashy gunfight because cute humor. But the one thing I thought was really interesting about this was I felt like it worked way more when our hero was in bird mode than human spy stuff.
Well, yes, I think that was the point.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that plot point kind of gets resolved near, like, the 2/3 mark, and I was like, I'm kind of bored now, which is something I was not expecting to say. But I thought it was cute. I thought I had some fun watching it. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But I think this is one of those things that just leave it as a standalone movie. Don't try and do sequels. Don't make a TV series. Just let it be. B-.
Okay. I don't think I gave my grade for that, but it's a C.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So Dark Phoenix is next. Terminator, Dark Phoenix. X-Men, Dark Fate. They're all the same.
So much dark.
43. Number 43. This made $65 million in the box office. I thought this was bad, but not nearly as bad as Apocalypse. I enjoyed it a lot more. It's up for a bunch of Razzies, so I know I'm probably in the minority on this one too, but I thought this was okay. It didn't make a lot of sense.
It really didn't.
It really didn't.
It seriously didn't.
But I found it enjoyable, and it was a decent runtime. I think it was like an hour and 45, something like that. Whereas Apocalypse was like
2
2
hours
hours
10.
and 10 or 15. It was like
Yeah,
a slog
going
to
on
get
forever.
through. Hated that. So this one to me wasn't as offensive as that. I left it with a C minus.
You know, Dark Phoenix is weird for me because I left it with kind of thinking, okay, this is bad, but I'm not sure if it's as bad as everyone says it is, but it's not good, and I'm trying to avoid being biased, and I still am not entirely sure where to stand with it, because there's a few things about it that I think are okay, and then the rest is garbage. I like the idea of a more grounded X-Men. I think the way they handle it is terrible.
Okay.
I like some of the action sequences ideas of like, okay, here's this world that hates and fears them, and slowly having this slightly more positive image than we've seen in other movies come back to bite them in the bum, but that never goes far enough. It just feels like a mishmash of half-baked ideas that you keep wanting to come together but don't really, leading to a anti-climax. It's a D+.
Okay. Number 42, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This was kind of a surprise.
Absolutely.
I really like this. I mean, it's not like amazing, but
No.
I think for the year in horror movies that have been very average for the most part. I mean, when there's one every other week, you'll get this. But I think this was interesting. I think the different tales were scary. I definitely freaked out a couple times at some of the things going on. Some jump scares, but not nearly as many as others. Acting was pretty decent. I thought it was certainly more original than a lot of the horror fare that we've gotten lately. I left it with a B minus.
So, one question that I hear over and over again as a film geek is, what's a good beginning horror movie? And I'll usually have like a few ideas, like Poltergeist, or like some PG-13 thing. This is actually a really good starting out horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's accessible. I think it's scary, but it's not overwhelming. I think it does some really interesting things without necessarily trying to go too over the top. I think it surprisingly gets away with a lot for a PG-13 rating.
Yeah. Visually, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think for a movie that's more or less an anthology, it flows very, very well without one story kind of being lesser than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
I really like the setup. I think the characters are interesting. I think the scares were a lot of fun. I am absolutely terrified to see them do a sequel, but I think as a standalone movie, this was really probably one of the top 5 best surprises of 2019. It's a B.
Okay. Sequel, because then they have to go take it up a notch, and it's like, no, I don't want them.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
All right, 41, Angel Has Fallen. I liked it more than the London Has Fallen.
Same.
Somehow. Well, because I think it was something different. Like, London Has Fallen was the same movie as Olympus Has Fallen.
Yes.
I liked it the first time.
Yeah.
And then the second time I hated it.
Yeah.
And then this time it was... I also didn't like it, but it wasn't as bad as that one.
Right.
I thought the twist was all right with the character, where they sort of put it on. But I think my Medea grades vary from C plus to F, and I think this one's somewhere in the middle. I gave it a D plus. I thought I think the peak of Medea was some of the early stuff. The Medea goes to prison.
A lot of the ones I missed.
The one, honestly. There was one other one in there that was pretty good. But the last few, I don't like the Boo series.
No.
And I don't know, the shtick to me is old. After the 8th or 9th movie. I feel very much like the Fast and Furious series. It's like, the first few movies I liked, then they added The Rock, and I was like, alright, that's kind of cool. Yeah. But it's like,
it's
even just hearing that Fast 9 is coming out,
I'm rolling my eyes.
and then somebody posted the trailer's up for Fast 9. Kill me.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. This is Medea for me. I like the early stuff. We should have hung it up there because now it's just all the same. Yeah. So D plus. All right. So now Yesterday. Now this for me maybe the most frustrating movie of the year. Concept wise, it's great. It's not that original. It was a Twilight Zone episode years ago, not with the Beatles specifically, but
in general,
similar.
Yeah.
And the guy takes credit for the music and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to like this movie a lot more than I did, and I think I'm still probably grading it on a little bit of a curve, because the music, is amazing, obviously. It's a Beatles picture. And I think there's a lot of good things about it. I don't know how spoiler it is, but he goes and visits somebody towards the end of the movie that I thought was awesome. Great scene. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay. I thought that was handled very well. I thought it was interesting to sort of theorize different things that may have transpired. But then Kate McKinnon appears, and she ruins this movie. And I'm not sure if it's her fault or the writing, because I typically like Kate McKinnon. But I'm not sure if she can go on to many more things after SNL like Kristen Wiig did.
Yeah.
To me, her agent character was just doing a shtick on SNL kind of thing.
Yeah, it felt like a parody.
And it was so out of place in this movie. Like, if it made sense when she was doing it in Ghostbusters, because she's the wacky Ghostbuster. Yeah. Okay, fine. But this isn't a comedy.
No, it's not.
And, I don't know, when you're toe-to-toe in a scene with Ed Sheeran, and Ed Sheeran is acting circles around you, it's weird.
Very much so.
So every time she showed up, it just took me right out of the movie. I'm leaving it with a B, because I think it had a lot of potential and a lot of good moving parts. But every scene she was in, just like, it just put the movie to a halt. Yeah, so what do you got on yesterday? Blinded by the Light, by the way, is a much better movie. That didn't make the top 100, but great movie about Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, meant to get there, but still in my queue.
It's very good.
Yeah, hoping to hit it soon.
Yeah.
But no, this is also probably 5 most frustrating, because I really like Danny Boyle, and I think he does some really interesting stuff. I don't know what happened with this movie, because like as soon as I heard the concept, I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And for starters, the storyline goes in like 15 different directions. The music ranges from amazing covers to amateur hour.
Well, you'll get this. But they're all still Beatles songs.
Oh, so, yeah, they're still Beatles songs, but it's like some of the songs he does great with, others it's like, okay, we're playing him off as a prodigy. He's good, okay? He's not the greatest Beatles performer ever.
Yeah.
But the storyline goes all over the place. It's got plot holes aplenty. It tries to do a little bit of satire in terms of like, oh, how would the Beatles be taken in present day? And
I thought some of
it works, a lot of it doesn't.
Yeah, I thought some of the humor worked, like when he was like Googling different bands to see like, who's there and who's not there, and then he, everyone's there that he looks up except the Beatles, and then he gets to Oasis. And he's like, oh, well, that makes sense. That they wouldn't exist.
That was good. That was a good gag.
That was a good gag. So I guess it did have a little humor.
Yeah, like, hey, back in the USSR doesn't really make any sense in 2019.
Yes.
But,
yeah.
As a whole, like, some of it works. Some of the ideas are interesting. I thought the majority of the side characters were really bad. The guy himself I thought was okay.
He did a good job.
The scene you're referring to is great. It's probably the best scene in the whole movie.
I think so, yeah, for sure.
The ending is garbage, but I think if you're a Beatles aficionado, this is going to be charming enough to warrant a viewing. It's a D+.
D+? All right, well, that's low, but Kate McKinnon ruined it. All right, so, hey, I have a D+. Annabelle Comes Home. That's number 37. This movie stinks on ice. When I heard that the Warrens... What's Vera Farmiga and Ed? What's his name? Or Matthew?
Oh, Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
When I heard like the Warrens were going to be like a part of this, I was like, oh, this is awesome. They're bookends to this movie, to this generic jump scare movie. D+. That's it.
All right. So, spoiler alert: Dan and I differ on this one.
You loved it. Get the.
I wouldn't. Love might be a strong word, but
this is rough. All right.
Compared.
Let's hear it.
I will admit partial bias on this because the first Annabelle is terrible.
First Annabelle sucks.
The second Annabelle is...
I kind of like the second one.
I'll say...
It's the only positive one I gave to the Annabelle
say less
series.
bad.
Okay.
Like, it starts off really well and then gets worse as it goes along. The third one is the only one I can genuinely say I cared about anybody in the movie.
Oh, cool. I didn't. I wanted them all to die. I really didn't. I was like, see ya. I did. They were annoying.
Victim 1, 2, 3, 4,
yep.
Dan.
Bye. Yep. Didn't like it.
The one thing I like about the Conjuring universe as a whole, at least the Warrens side of it, is
That's the
they are
interesting side
just
of it.
they are disgustingly likable.
Yeah.
like ridiculously likable. And I think that's part of the reason why I like this movie. Like, yes, they are bookends, but the way they handle things is just so delightfully charming that I can't help being like, aw. And I like their daughter. I like the conflicts that she's going through. And honestly, kind of the same vein as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I think this isn't a bad movie to go off of for a beginner's horror movie.
I would never recommend this movie to a person for a beginner horror movie.
Yeah, I think they should have gone PG-13 for starters. I'm
maybe
not even really sure, to tell you the truth, why it's rated R.
Yeah, I was gonna say Scary Stories is much scarier.
Oh yeah, no. Scary Stories gets away with way more than Annabelle 3 does.
Right.
I think some of the scares in here are creepy, but they aren't overwhelming. And I think for the most part, the general takeaway, the general message that it's trying to send, is simple and effective. Largely thanks to the Warrens.
Yeah.
Honestly,
those bookends.
Yeah.
Those bookends the Warrens.
Yeah, but let's be realistic. We're all just waiting for Conjuring 3. So for me, it's a C+.
Okay. All right. So number 36. We got to start trying to move through these. Sorry. All right. Men in Black International. Another divisive one though. It's like. So I actually kind of liked this. It was easily the worst of the Men in Black movies. But I think Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth were really likable together. I thought they had good chemistry. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a lot of fun in some aspects. It didn't make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. But I sort of like what they tried to do with it. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure it always connected. I like her backstory.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I liked Emma Thompson in it. The villain was
meh.
Yeah, I didn't really care much for that part of it, but I feel like if they wanted to try again, I would be on board with Tessa Thompson.
It's a good team.
And Chris Hemsworth. So I left it with a B-.
Yeah, this is I agree that this is definitely the worst of the bunch.
Yeah.
2's bad, but there's some camp factor that I like about it. International has a good team. The setup is bad. The storyline is not good. There's a mole that is glaringly obvious is ineffective.
Yeah, I can't deny that.
I spent most of the time just sort of dazily watching it, and to be honest with you, waiting for it to be over.
Ooh,
it's dry as a bone, but again, much like you mentioned, I legit think that there is actual potential here. It just needs the right writer and the right director to get behind it. It's a C- for me.
All right. Good Boys, number 35. This made $83 million. I thought this was very cute. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. This is actually how 11 and 12-year-old kids talk, which we rarely get. I mean, I know one of your biggest issues, at least in TV, probably in movies too, is the 10-year-old kid who says such pithy things and things that people that age would never say, and oh, you're so charming, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
12-year-old boys talk about this, and they do this, and they think this way.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of fun. The three kids had obvious chemistry, good little actors. We already knew about what's-his-face, but...
Tremblay,
Tremblay. But the other two kids, I thought they all gelled very well. You really believed they were all friends. And I thought the adults in this movie were completely inconsequential, meaningless creatures. And guess what? That's what adults are to 12-year-old boys. Nailed it.
Yes.
I really liked this. It was a B+.
Yeah, as far as this one goes, I really did like the general interplay between these three kids. I think the storyline is ridiculous, but it works. Yeah. For the most part.
It's one of those movies to me like Horrible Bosses where it's like, okay, it's really outlandish, but if all of these things actually happened, these would be the actual things that happened to the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But honestly, my biggest gripe with it is not so much the adult aspect of it, so much as I feel like at times it tries a little too hard to be naughty.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. There's some great gags in here, and I'm gonna say it. Jacob Tremblay wins for best action sequence of 2019.
At the frat house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was good.
that is a great scene. But some of the stuff in between the bookends of one particular, shall we say, room that they happen to stumble upon is way overkill.
Okay.
But I like the fact that it kind of has some heart in there too. I like the general takeaway of, hey, even though we're going down different paths, doesn't mean we're necessarily gone forever, which is something that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Especially as kids, but even more so as adults. But I think that it works on that end. Does it always come together neatly? No, but what a part of childhood does, it's a C+.
All right. I think that's a bit low, Justin. All right. Alita Battle Angel is next. Great visuals. Hardly a story. I mean, like, this is like, to me, this is like Avatar all over again. Like, visually, it is stunning.
Yeah.
She gives a good performance. The gal who is, I forget her name.
Elita,
but, yeah, but she stars on Amazon's Undone, which is also great.
Yeah.
And then, Christoph Waltz is always good. And, I mean, everybody was doing a good job. Visually, it's amazing, but it's like the story just wasn't there. I didn't really understand half of what was happening or what was supposed to be happening.
It tries to do way too much.
It tries to do way too much, but it's gorgeous to look at. I didn't really know what to make of this movie. I left it with a B.
Yeah, this one was weird for me because, kind of like Zombieland, if you asked me like 40 minutes into the movie and you asked me at the end of the movie what I thought, you get two entirely different responses. I think it's a gorgeous looking movie. Do I think they try a little too hard to make our lead actress look anime? Yes, but
that didn't bother me.
Source material, I can at least look past that, if only slightly. I think a lot of the action sequences are very well choreographed, and I think for the most part it kind of embraces its camp, at least throughout the first, I'm gonna say, third to a half.
Okay.
After that, it kind of leans way too hard into the like teen romance stuff. They give Alita a love interest, and he's bad.
Weird.
He's really, really bad.
Yeah.
And they try to throw in another conspiracy subplot that is essentially one gigantic sequel bait, and it's beyond forced. The one big name actor that has been touted since this began production doesn't even speak, and might as well have "See You in the Sequel" written on his forehead. I think
I don't even remember that, but I mean, I saw it back in like March or whatever it came out. I don't even remember that.
I think his follow-up could be good. I think there is definitely franchise potential here. I don't think this was the best marketing ploy to go about it, but hey, as far as live-action anime adaptations go, you could do a lot worse. C+.
All right. Next is Rocket Man, number 33. Here again, another one we talked about a lot on the Oscar nomination show.
Absolutely.
So there's not too much to say here. I thought this was leaps and bounds better than Bohemian Rhapsody, which even still I liked more than you. So,
yeah.
But even for me, this was way, way, way better. Taron Egerton's amazing. The singing was amazing. I love the structure of this movie beyond almost any music biopic I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I thought What's Her Name was great as his mother, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes,
she doesn't get enough appreciation for this movie. It's
No,
never talked about.
no.
But she is, I mean, she's such a good, like, quote-unquote villain in this movie. This is easily one of the year's best for me. It's an A.
Yeah, this is... If we're ever going to have a spiritual sequel to All That Jazz, this is probably going to be the closest we're ever going to get. Like, the format is familiar and also so wildly out there. And yet, for the most part, it works. Do I think sometimes it gets a little bit lost in the nonsense, but what sells it is Egerton's absolutely fearless performances as Elton John. I think the song numbers are outstanding. Even when
his own singing.
Even when I think it's overwhelming, his own singing.
As we've pointed out.
Yes, many times, and rightfully so, I might add. But even when the entire scene is like beyond overwhelming, I think he's absolutely slaying it. The music is phenomenal. The setup is great. The general way it wraps up is beautiful. honestly, if it could just go a little half speed during some of the more psychedelic scenes, I think this would have been like perfect. But for me, it's a B+ that could easily become an A- upon rewatch.
I thought that's also what set it apart, though, with those more psychedelic, fantastical scenes. All right, 32, Downton Abbey. I didn't watch the show. I tried the first episode twice, and I found it very dry, very boring, couldn't get through it. But I'm watching the whole top 100, so let's watch Downton Abbey. I thought it was okay. I thought it was very slow. I wasn't confused, so I'll give them that.
Yeah.
That even for a newbie, I wasn't confused about anything.
No.
But I talked to my friend Melissa about it. She's a big fanatic of the show, and she just watched the movie last week. And I said, am I right here that this is kind of boring? And she's like, no, absolutely. It was like a 2-part episode, but like a boring episode where not much happens, and every beat is predictable. And she was like, that's not what the show is like at all.
No.
She's like, the show is exciting and whatever. She still kind of liked the movie, but, I thought it was very dry, very predictable. Look, it's rated PG. Yeah. It's mostly for older people that are into British stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not the target audience for this movie. But I found it more enjoyable, I guess, than the 2 times I tried to watch the show. So I gave it a B-.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with this is the stakes for this movie are never that high.
Right.
They're really, really small.
You're having someone for dinner, okay?
Yeah, like you read what happens in the 5-6 seasons.
Right.
If Downton Abbey fans, please don't come after me.
I think 5, maybe.
Yeah, there's so much that goes down in a season, and then you got this.
Yeah.
But one thing that I got to give this movie points for, well, actually 2 things. The first is the accessibility. That's not an easy feat, and honestly, it's really the only TV to movie adaptation I can really think of off the top of my head that does it pretty consistently well. And the second is, it's a movie that you can tell that everyone on board loves this material. It's not about the money. This is
clearly a love letter to fans as well.
Yes,
you can tell that,
Yes,
I agree.
This is not about let's make a cheap buck. This is, we love this. We wanted to come back to this.
Yes.
Let's do this. And I really appreciate that. And I can feel that while watching it. Is it perfect? No. Slow at times. Predictable? Definitely.
It's really predictable.
But I admire that charm. It was a B for me.
Okay. What's next? Oh, number 31, The Addams Family. Now, here was one for me that was the opposite of Spies in Disguise.
Okay.
I kind of really liked this movie, and then I went home and saw it had like a 32% or something on Rotten. I'm like, okay.
That's harsh.
I was a little off the mark then. I thought this was funny. I thought the voice acting was phenomenal. If you didn't tell me that was Charlize Theron, it's Charlize Theron, right? Yeah. So, this is, for me, 3 in a row this year that she just knocked out of the park.
Pretty much.
But I thought Oscar Isaac was great. I thought the kids were great. The plot is, it's fairly monster of the week basic.
Yeah.
Frankenstein story, what have you.
Yeah.
I thought Allison Janney was hilarious as the realtor. I thought this was a fun kids movie, much more than Spies in Disguise, Abominable, some of the movies we'll get to later. I rather enjoyed this. I gave it a B.
It's always good to see the Addams Family again.
Yes, and I love the Addams Family. and one more thing, I'm sorry.
Go on.
I really appreciate that they stuck with the style of animation that the original comics from 100 years ago employed. I thought that was a very nice touch.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm kind of on the fence about that.
Okay.
I like the callback. Do I think there was more elegant ways to go about it? Definitely. I think going 2D animation, even though it would have cost more, might have pulled it off more effectively. But
it's already weird enough looking, though, to kids, I think.
That's fair.
So I don't know.
It's Addams Family. Kids are either on board or they're not.
You're right. My nephews really liked it.
Yeah, I could definitely see kids being on board with this one. I think part of it is also it's at times it's very vibrant, other times it's not. But I like that the new cast has a lot of personality. Mm-hmm. I think the weakest of the bunch is probably Finn Wolfhard as Pugsley, but his arc works to varying degrees.
There's not much to the Pugsley character just in general, though. Wednesday, at least, I don't know. She usually gets more front and center, in the TV show and the movies.
sassy daughter.
So I can't deny that. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And I think for the runtime, it paces itself well, but it also doesn't really give you enough time to really establish much. It feels like
it assumes that you already know the Addams Family.
Yeah, it kind of operates a little too much on.
True.
This is going to lead to bigger things later on, which is nice, but you kind of wanted more. I think it's good. I think it's harmless. I had fun watching it, but I also think it came and went way too quickly. It's a C+.
Okay. All right. So number 30, again, one we talked about a lot during the Oscar video, and that was Little Women. Still going very strong at the box office. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great retelling of the Little Women story. I think... Oh, I know I didn't see the 94 version, but I think I saw a version before that or something in school, and I know we read the book.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's pretty standard. Greta Gerwig didn't take too many, like, crazy left field, you know, antics with it. The acting obviously is good. The scenery obviously is good. The costumes it won Oscars for.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's not much to say about it. It's Little Women.
Yeah.
You know, it's a classic for a reason. It's an A-.
All right, so I'm going to preface this by saying this is the first foray I've ever had into Little Women. I know it by reputation.
Okay.
I know a lot of the things that happened because people around me were big fans over the years.
Okay.
And many, many movies making callbacks to Little
Right.
Women, spoiling everything.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I think this is good, not great. I know a lot of people were slamming the Oscars for Greta Gerwig. I want to start off by saying I don't disagree, so much as I feel like there were far better choices than Gerwig.
Yeah, I don't think she needed to be nominated for an Oscar.
And I think part of the problem is not so much the costumes or the performances, all of which are very, very good.
Sure, right.
It's the very, very strange way the narrative is handled. It's kind of like take the whole story of Little Women, cut it into like eights, and organize it any way that you see fit.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be a love it or hate it decision, I think, anyway. You cut it, no pun intended, because you just said about the cutting. Yeah, I think she wanted to do something a little different so it wasn't the same. You know, you being new to Little Women wouldn't have known the difference anyway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the story's been told so many times. I think she just wanted to try something different. I think it was always going to work for some and not for others.
Yeah, like, the way I've been told, like, returning loyalists love this angle. For me, it took me about 40 minutes to get on deck because it was like, okay, we're here, but we're also over here. Now we're back to them being real little kids again. It became scattershot, and then like 30 minutes of them being adults until the end of the movie. It felt very clumsy at times, but I like the performances. I like the costumes. I think the setup is good, and the story is timeless.
It's classic, yeah.
With good reason. But for me, it's good. It's not amazing. I would recommend it, though. It is a B+.
Okay. Number 29, Hustlers. We're in the 100 millions now, by the way. This movie made $104 million.
Right on.
So, again, we talked about this during the Oscar show, so not too much to say here. It's, I think, very well done. Mm-hmm. I think the acting's great. Yeah. My biggest problem with it was there was nobody to root for. Everybody was a jerk.
Yeah, everyone's kind of evil.
Yeah, and it's like, I find it hard sometimes to get behind a movie where you can't really like anyone or get behind anyone. But the performances are great. You know, obviously the dancing is great. I enjoyed the plot. I mean, I certainly wasn't bored with it.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, it was good. It was a B.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not too far off from you. I thought J-Lo was absolutely phenomenal in this movie. Honestly, pretty much everyone was pretty good in this movie. But
yeah, Constance Wu was good.
Yeah, thank you. I was totally blanking.
Yep. I'm a fresh off the boat fan, so that's the one name of this whole show I've remembered.
But honestly, I think the storyline is really interesting, and I think it takes some really cool twists and turns. Directing, love it or hate it. My biggest gripe is with any story like this, you're going to have that inevitable. Things are going to go wrong. People are going to get caught. And once that moment hits this movie, the excitement goes back to like generic crime story fit.
Yeah.
Mode. And it's not that it's a lesser movie, it's just not as interesting a movie. So for me, I liked it more than you. I give it a B+, but that moment really took it from like an A- down a notch.
Okay. All right, number 28, The Lego Movie 2, the second part. I liked it. Well, I liked it a lot, actually, but it just... The first one was just so different and so inventive, and so it can never live up to that, you know. But I liked it a lot. I think for a kids movie, it's probably one of the year's best.
Okay.
I thought the jokes all still worked. I liked some of the new characters and new things and new. I thought the stuff they were doing with the. It's hard to not get into spoilers.
Yeah, I know what
which
you mean.
is weird. It's a kids movie. Who cares, really?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I liked a lot of the twists and turns that it took, I guess we could say. And everybody seemed to, still be doing a great job voice-wise. I love that they gave Charlie Day more to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a B+ for me. It's
Okay.
not nearly as inventive, obviously, as the original. It's kind of like you said with the Dora movie. It's like if they make a second Dora movie, it will probably also be pretty fun and good.
Yeah.
But that that lightning...
You're not going to get it twice.
You're not going to get it twice, and they certainly didn't with the Lego Ninjago movie. That thing was a turd.
Ow.
And then Lego Batman was like good, but not great. I think this was better than Lego Batman.
Okay.
Although I did like Lego Batman too. It might be the same grade actually as Lego Batman.
Okay.
If I didn't say it, it's a B+.
Okay. Yeah, this was one of those that you can really tell that the first director had a very, very clear vision of what he wanted. Saw it through, gave us something really unique.
Well, Miller and Lord, right? Or they just wrote it? They directed it too, I think, right? Yeah, okay.
And
they're very creative.
Changing of the guard definitely changed things. I don't feel like the new person really got that vibe, and as a result, it becomes a lot of pop culture references that don't really amount to much. A storyline that takes off and also doesn't, and a lot of things feeling very, very, very underdeveloped. Like the script was not done.
I like the story a lot, but I do agree that I think the first one is more timeless.
Yes.
This in a couple years, I think kids won't necessarily understand half the jokes. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's very pop culture heavy. Yeah. The first one was not.
There's two twists. One is okay-ish. Fairly obvious, but it works. The second one is glaringly obvious to anyone above the age of 15.
Okay. 15's a pretty good threshold for a kids movie, though.
I might end up being a little generous.
If you can figure it out
at
6, that's not a good plot twist.
Depending on the 6-year-old, I could see it.
15, I don't know, Justin. I think it was more obvious than that. 12, maybe.
Yeah. Depending on a certain someone's filmography, but no spoilers. But as a whole, there's things I liked about it. I think the tail end of this movie was good. I actually really, if they do a third one, I like the setup for the third movie. But I think the stuff in between is very stop and go. Some things I liked, a lot I didn't. It's a C+.
Okay. So let's see. The Upside is next. That is a remake, of course, of a movie we loved.
Yep.
From, I want to say, France.
Of course.
And that was The Intouchables. And now we have The Upside with Kevin Hart and Nicole Kidman again.
Yep.
And, of course, Bryan Cranston playing the gentleman in the wheelchair that needs the help.
Yep.
Look, this is an American version of a great French film.
Yep.
It's I think it's got more comedy in this one, largely because of Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one, you hate Kevin Hart. Now listen, I think the other one had a little humor, but certainly this had more. Mm-hmm. But look, Bryan Cranston's no slouch in the comedy department.
Oh, no, not at all.
The guy was Hal on Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
So, and the dentist on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So, I think I think it's a different take. I don't think it's a, it's obviously a remake, but it's not like a, were going to do the same exact thing.
Right.
I think they wanted this to be more lighthearted.
Yeah.
They wanted this to be more mass appeal. They wanted this to be, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I think for the most part it worked in what it was doing. The original is certainly a better film.
Yeah.
But I still gave it a B+. I think if you've never seen The Untouchables, I think you will like this a lot. I think if you have seen The Untouchables, it's impossible to not compare it. And I would hope that you would think Untouchables is better as a film. But, look, this had humor in it. This is more lighthearted. If that's what you're looking for, I think maybe you'll like this one more. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Let's keep this one simple. Kevin Hart, you are not Omar Sy. You will never be Omar Sy. You're not even Eddie Murphy. Please stop.
You don't like Kevin Hart, though. Like, you got to caveat it. Like, I don't know. I think if you like Kevin Hart, you'll like the performance. Damn it. Well, keep going.
The problem is he doesn't have range. He never has. And this movie requires somebody with range. To be fair, this is probably the closest I've seen Kevin Hart attempt to have range, but it's just not there.
That might be true.
And honestly, it's one of those movies that it's okay on its own, but it's falls into that category of why watch this when you can watch a significantly better movie in every possible way that happened much earlier and is much more effective in what it's trying to do. For me, it's generic, but it works if you've never seen it. It's a C.
But Cranston was good, though. You didn't talk about how good Cranston is. No, you didn't like him. All right. Well, how about... speaking of Cranston, he's not in this one, but Godzilla King of the Monsters. He was in the last one. Number 26. This one was another one that was very sort of like love it or hate it. There was a lot of like, this stinks, this is great. I fall somewhere in between. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
That's pretty good. Not gonna lie to you, Dan.
I mean... I can't deny that. The action was good. I didn't understand why there were like 8 different monsters fighting each other, and I never knew which one was which because they were completely indistinguishable. This has the problem of a huge like battle where things are flying all over the place, and a helicopter crashes, and the person comes out and doesn't have a scratch on them.
Yep.
That's a classic,
And then we'll just randomly kill off a returning character because reasons.
I hate that. Wasn't Fear Farmiga in this one too?
Yes.
Right? The family stuff was like okay. But some of the action sequences were very cool. I thought it was decently shot. The CGI was okay. We certainly got more Godzilla in this than we got in the Cranston one.
Yes,
so
I feel like that was answering the core criticism of 2014.
I feel like if you're coming for Godzilla and fighting monsters, you'll leave satisfied.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I gave it a B-.
Yeah. I know everyone's like, oh, hey, I wanted a smashy monster movie, but people tend to forget that's not what Godzilla is about. Yes, it's a nice plot point, but there's more to Godzilla than just smashing
that's
stuff.
what people remember.
Yeah, I get that, but that doesn't a good movie make.
No, I agree.
And that's sort of where I stand on Godzilla. I understand the 2014 criticism of, okay, he's not in it that much, there's only really one big battle scene, this one you get several, but at the same time, it also kind of ruins the one thing that I kind of really liked about 2014, where it's probably the most heroic version of the titular character, like legit going out of his way to avoid hurting people.
Right.
And then the first scene, he crashed into things. I don't get that. Anyways, but as a whole, I think it works as a blockbuster, as a stupid blockbuster, I should say. Is it smart? No. Is the look of it the same feel? No. But if you're going for a popcorn movie, you won't be disappointed. I just kind of want to find a movie that's going to split the difference.
I agree, because I liked it about the same as the first movie, but for wholly different reasons.
Yes. Yeah, like...
I say the first movie, but you know what I mean, like the 2014 version.
Yeah. Like, I would watch this again, but I view them as entirely different entities. For me, this one's a C+.
Yeah, I can't really deny that. All right, well, we're going to cut there because, I've run out of camera room, really. We're not going to get through 26 movies in 19 minutes.
No.
Seeing as how we've not done that yet. So, join us another time, and we'll do the top 25 of 2019. So, we'll see you then.
All right. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.